Let's start by saying free Wendy. Free Wendy Williams.
Great.
She should be able to enjoy her life the way she wants to enjoy her life.
All over social media, a flurry of support for talk show legend Wendy Williams.
People are really worried about this situation and what Wendy's going through.
With the people who watched Wendy's show, the fans, I never realized how hard they ride for Wendy, you know, and how many people she's really impacted.
Most know her as the larger-than-life, self-proclaimed queen of all media, host of her own namesake daytime gab fest, The Wendy Williams Show.
Here's Wendy!
But lately, she's been in the spotlight for a more serious reason. According to her care team, she was diagnosed with a form of dementia. Her reported public decline shocking her loyal fans.
We had heard so many rumors about how she was doing. You know, we didn't know where Wendy Williams was.
For nearly 3 years, she's been under a court-appointed guardianship to manage her health and finances.
A guardianship, as they call it in New York, or a conservatorship, as they call it in other parts of the country, like California, is where a court appoints either a person or an organization to handle the needs of an individual who cannot do it for themselves. It can be as broad or as narrow as that person needs.
Hi, everybody.
But just last week, Wendy finally breaking her silence, speaking with Charlemagne the God on his radio show, The Breakfast Club, advocating for her independence.
I am not cognitively impaired, you know what I'm saying? No, but I feel like I am in prison.
An emotional Wendy saying that she feared potential retaliation from doing the interview.
What if they take my phone? I won't be able to talk to anybody.
I think that there were a lot of shocking things that came out of the interview. The idea that she doesn't even control who can contact her, or it sounds like she doesn't even have much control over her phone. And I think to hear her describe that she essentially was living in a luxury prison was really, really surprising to people.
Now some of her followers rallying behind her, using the hashtag #FreeWendy, even setting up an online petition garnering more than 2,000 signatures. After almost a year, Wendy resurfacing at her son's college graduation last month in Florida. Her brother, Tommy Williams, says he was grateful to be able to spend some time with her.
The night before her flight, I was the last person who got to get together with her. I saw her off, broke some bread, shared some snacks, and it meant everything to me. Just the time that we spent was just great.
Wendy also doing a phone interview with Don Lemon right after speaking with The Breakfast Club.
Wendy, are you incapacitated?
Hell no.
I don't know what all of the faces of dementia look like, but I will say it didn't sound like what I think a lot of us expected to hear. This sounded like the Wendy Williams that was hosting her show on television every day. It sounded like Wendy Williams.
Oh, I spoke with Wendy yesterday, and her energy was great. She sounds very, very good when I speak with her, and she's very happy and enthusiastic when we do have the opportunity to speak.
Experts warn dementia is complex and that its symptoms could come in waves, and that the person impacted may not fully be aware of their mental state.
Every case is different. What always remains the same is that this is a progressive neurodegenerative disease, and unfortunately, we don't have a cure and we don't have a treatment that slows down the progress of the disease. So it's a question of how rapidly someone's disease progresses, but not a question of if the disease will progress. So it sort of depends on how an individual patient is able to perform as time goes on.
Before that diagnosis, she was a titan who dominated TV screens and airwaves across America for 3 decades. No celebrity was off limits during her talk shows, scorching hot topics.
Mariah, I don't know who you think you're fooling with this one.
And her signature catchphrase.
How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Our first caress.
But for many, the talk show host's story took a dramatic turn on Halloween of 2017 when she collapsed on air. Her hit show went on.
I did pass out, but you know what? I'm a champ, and I'm back.
But 2 years later, another setback.
I have been living in a sober house, and you know I've had a struggle with cocaine.
Then a messy divorce, bizarre behavior, and long absences from the set, in part due to complications from Graves' disease and lymphedema. In June 2022, The Wendy Williams Show was canceled. Years later, she was once again in the public eye with a Lifetime documentary project titled Where is Wendy Williams? A raw and jarring look at her life and recent struggles with sobriety.
You think you're perfectly fine having as many drinks as you want? Perfectly. Okay. But I'm just gonna put it downstairs to keep it cool.
Keep it there.
Okay.
Keep it there.
Alex Finney, the niece and goddaughter of Wendy Williams, speaking with my colleague Deborah Roberts last year about her aunt's private struggle just before Wendy's diagnosis was made public.
I feel like I've been living in this secret bubble for a very long time.
It is heartbreaking. Some people are going to look at this and say, this is exploitation. She's being exploited. How could they do this?
Right.
What do you say to that?
You know, and I understand that some people look at it and think that. But I will say this, first and foremost, my aunt is the executive producer of this documentary. And when I finally talked with her and I said to her, Aunt Wendy, why do you want to do this? She said, now is the perfect time because I want to take ownership of my story.
But does she have the capacity to take ownership of her story? Does she really know what she's doing, in your view?
I think that it comes in waves, and even in the conversations that I would have with her, right? Like that conversation was crystal clear when I said, why are you doing this? And she said, I want to tell my story. That conversation was crystal clear.
Then the devastating revelation through Wendy's care team that she'd been diagnosed with primary progressive aphasia, a form of frontotemporal dementia, or FTD. Her team saying the decision to share her diagnosis was made not only to advocate for understanding and compassion for Wendy, but to raise awareness about the disease and to support the thousands of others facing similar circumstances.
Frontotemporal dementia, it tends to affect younger people in their 40s to 60s. It's pretty rare, and it affects behavior like decision-making, personality, impulse control, and then it also affects communication skills. But most patients will have a mixture of behavioral and language symptoms.
The documentary prompting a legal battle between Wendy's guardian, Sabrina Morrissey, and Lifetime's parent company, A&E. In a statement to ABC News, an attorney for Sabrina Morrissey defending her client against Wendy's comments. Because the court proceedings involving Ms. Williams are under seal, Ms. Morrissey is restricted in defending herself at this time from all the spurious and defamatory claims and personal attacks being raised against her. Nevertheless, Ms. Morrissey emphatically denies any wrongdoing, mismanagement, or self-dealing with regard to Ms. Williams' guardianship, adding that all of the court-appointed guardians' activities are regulated and supervised by the court. A&E telling ABC News in a statement, Wendy Williams' recent Breakfast Club interview speaks for itself. It's not the first time Wendy's struggles have come to light. After a tense interview with Whitney Houston in 2003...
Is there drug use going on at this present time?
Who are you talking to? Don't talk to me about that.
You are very defensive, Whitney.
I have to be, Wendy. You talk about me every day.
Wendy said she was forced to face her own demons, speaking to Nightline co-anchor Byron Pitts about that in 2015.
I recognized the moment because I recognized the behavior, because that was once me.
Addiction.
Wendy, seen as an inspiration to many women in radio and TV, including her own niece, Alex.
I'm Alex Finney,
Who's an anchor at ABC's Miami affiliate, WPLG.
She was always a beautiful guide for me in this industry and just as an aunt in general growing up. She instilled in me the confidence that I needed.
While Alex declined to comment on this report, last year she told us she hoped her aunt would soon be able to turn the page on this chapter.
My hope for her is that she does whatever she wants to do that makes her happy and that stays in the bounds of keeping her healthy.